4 children, the spin-off series, The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise. And now, thanks to you, next year, in the year 2016, Star Trek becomes 50 years old. It is an amazing phenomenon, but you guys all did it with your undying support, your tenacity, and your devotion to Star Trek. So we want to thank you very much for that. But the other thing we're reminded of, over those 50 years, we lost many of the dear, creative people that made Star Trek what it is. People that became friends over the years. And most recently, as you know, we lost Leonard Nimoy, who created the amazing, incredible character, Spock. So we all remember him for what he did. He was a brilliant actor, but more than that, he was an extraordinary human being. He was someone, apart from his acting talent, who had so many other talents. He was a great director. He knew how to analyze a script. He was a great artist. He was a photographer. And he was a very socially active person. Leonard and I and Walter Takei, often found ourselves supporting the same political candidates or advocating the same social issues. We became kindred political figures. And beyond that, he was a very, very loyal friend. Every time I did theater in Los Angeles, there he was in the audience, and he came backstage to share his comments with me. Leonard did Equus, Peter Shaffer's brilliant play, on Broadway, and he got great reviews. I did the same play and the same role in Los Angeles. And I didn't think Leonard would come to see that. But an usher came up to me during the intermission, very excited, and he said, "Leonard Nimoy's in the audience." I thought, oh my. Leonard came to see me in Equus playing Dysart. And I girded my loins because he always comes backstage. And sure enough, after the performance, there was Leonard, smiling that un-Spockian smile. And I said, "Well, Leonard, how did I do?" And he said through his smile, "You are better." Now that's a bald-faced lie. But that's the kind of guy Leonard is. So self-effacing, but at the same time, so praising of his friends. He was a dear friend. And last summer, our Brad and my documentary, To Be Takei, came out. We had a special screening for all our close friends in Hollywood. And Leonard had been ill for some time now. He had COPD, congestive obstructive pulmonary disease. It came from, he quit, but he was a chain smoker. When we were doing the TV series, he was going out of the soundstage regularly to get a smoke. Eventually he quit because he's a determined guy and he was able to quit. I have friends who take pride in saying, "Oh, smoking is easy to quit. I've done it many times." Leonard did it just once, and it's again a commentary about Leonard, his determination, his tenacity, and his self-control. But nevertheless, that smoking early on raised its ugly head, and he had been ill for some time. And so I didn't think Leonard, we sent him an invitation, but I didn't think Leonard would be there. But when we were about ready to begin the screening, in rolled Susan, his wife, with Leonard on a wheelchair. He came on his wheelchair. He had that breathing thing, on the nose, and he had his oxygen. But he came. I was so touched by that. The devotion of his friendship. Even when he was ill, I was very, very touched by that. That's the kind of friend that Leonard was. And that's the kind of friend that we lost over the years. Gene Roddenberry, the creator and the visionary of Star Trek, he was that kind of very special, extraordinary human being. Jimmy Doohan was a different kind of friend. He was a down-to-earth, backslapping buddy. I called him my best drinking buddy. And I learned a lot about drinking from him. And he educated me. Jimmy played a Scotsman, but he really was of Irish ancestry, Doohan. But he told me that I've drunk enough of the libation of Scotland to qualify playing a Scotsman. So you know what his favorite drink was. He was a great guy, and I loved him dearly. DeForest was another kind of guy, very unusual for an actor. He was a very shy guy, and to tell you the truth, he didn't like doing conventions. He liked people individually, but in mass, all together, you guys overwhelmed him. And that's why you didn't see him at too many conventions. But one-on-one, he was a very sweet guy. He came from Macon, Georgia, and he was a Georgian and a Southerner. That Southern gentlemanly quality. Very polite, very thoughtful, and very ethical. And I loved Dee in a whole different way. And so as we celebrate our 50th anniversary next year, I also think of the loss. But then, at the same time, they left us with such a wonderful gift, the memories of our friendship. And so in the evenings, when I look up at the sky and see the stars, I know that I see all of them somewhere up there, twinkling up in the galaxies where they belong. And so on behalf of all of us, I thank you for the support, the undying support that you have given us over the last 49 years. And next September, well, we haven't come to this September yet, but a year from that September, we will be 50 years old. Isn't that wonderful? I get to say I'm 27 years older than Star Trek, but I get to say we're 50 years old. It feels so good. And thank you all very much for that gift. And with that, let's begin the conversation. How have they set this up?